I'm a 38-year-old female who got engaged to my now husband last June. My mother has never supported me and was indifferent to the proposal, which I had no problem with. At my wedding, my husband's parents made a beautiful speech that brought me and my husband to tears. When my father and mother got onto the platform, my heart sank as I had the understanding that this speech would have nothing to do with me or my relationship. My mother and my older sister had been in a car accident when I was 12, and my sister had not made it. It was heartbreaking. My mother, my father and I had grieved ever since that day, and I will never forget my beautiful sister Adelaide and her beautiful smile. My mother had it the worst of us and separated herself from me and my father ever since, and our relationship has been in shambles. She constantly makes every day, even my birthday, about Adelaide, which always annoyed me slightly, but I always brushed it off as I wanted to be a good daughter. But my wedding day was the last straw. When she got to the top of the platform, she proceeded to take the mic from my dad and make a speech about how her one wish in life was to see Adelaide get married and live a beautiful life. She went on about her grieving process and healing journey at a yoga retreat, not once mentioning my name or my finances. She spoke for about 5 minutes and then, in tears, ended the speech with, "Now my Sarah gets to live the life Adelaide deserved but was taken away from too soon." I was absolutely furious, but I did not want to ruin the day or let her get the best of me, so I didn't make a scene. But I did not clap either, and nor did my fiancé. After the wedding, I did not approach her or even speak to her for weeks. I figured she understood why. But yesterday evening, she came to me in my fiancé's apartment, demanding answers. I laughed in her face and told her she should know that speech was not acceptable at my wedding, and I wished for her to apologize. She refused, so I just shut the door. My phone is blowing up with calls from both sides of my family. My fiancé's family completely supports me, but most of my family is, in their words, disgusted by my actions. Am I the jerk? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. What she said at your wedding was already beyond the pale despite her grief, but the relatives hassling you now haven't had to live with your mother turning everything into this and can't appreciate that your mother's speech was the last straw. Your mother has gone down a really dark path, where she has to look at all of your milestones as something somehow taken from your sister, rather than celebrating you separate from her grief. She has gone wrong, and it is hurting you. You don't have to suck it up and allow her to destroy every event in your life, because you are still here and your sister isn't. Your mother has latched onto you in this way very unfairly. She may be doing it irrationally, but that doesn't excuse it or make it any less destructive or hurtful. ETA. After reading the post, I took your title as shorthand for you being resentful of your mother's obsessive grief over your dead sister, rather than you being resentful of your dead sister herself. If I'm wrong, I'd like to say that you should reflect on how that's just as unfair to your sister as your mother's misplaced resentment of you living while your sister isn't. If you do resent your sister, try to let that go so you can remember her in a way that isn't associated with the way your mother's distorted grief has tainted things. Those two things should be separate too. Comment 2. Not the idiot. This was the only day in my life I wanted to have my family here for me, not getting to hear about how I stole the life my dead sister should have had. I'm disgusted that you don't think hearing on my birthday every year how me being alive just makes my mother think of the life my sister should have had is enough. That every holiday I hear about how my sister would have smiled about this, or do that. I have lived my entire life in the shadow of someone who is gone, and she ruined the one day I wanted to be celebrated, without being blamed for being alive. I've had enough of all of you, and I think this will be the last time we speak if you don't understand why I'm deeply hurt by her actions. I've had enough. And if they say anything else that starts with your mum's defense, stop reading and block them. You deserve to stand in the light of your own life. Comment 3. Not the idiot. It has been 26 years since the accident, but clearly your mother has not processed her grief properly. But as her daughter, who was actually involved in the accident too, it is not your job to make her heal or make her feel better. Your family who is taking her side in this is not helping at all. Maybe it's time to take a step away from them, LC or no contact, so that you can focus on yourself and your marriage first, without having to constantly apologize for living your life. Despite what your mother thinks, you deserve your life. And congratulations on your marriage. Seems like your in-laws have your back, which is a very good thing. Now for the update. It's been a month since I laughed in my mother's face, and the fallout has been intense. I thought that maybe with time things would calm down, but instead, it feels like my family has been ripped apart at the seams. Last week, my grandmother, who's always been the matriarch and the glue of our family, passed away. It was unexpected and has left us all reeling. I've been trying to navigate the grief, but it's been overshadowed by this relentless family drama. During the funeral, the tension was palpable. My mother was there, eyes red from crying, but she wouldn't even look in my direction. It was clear that my laughter had cut deep, and now the loss of Grandma had created an even wider chasm between us. At the wake, one of my aunts, who had been on my side initially, confronted me. She told me that my grandmother's last days were filled with distress over our family's discord. My heart sank. The idea that my grandmother spent her final moments upset because of us breaks me. I tried to reach out to my mother then, but she just shook her head and walked away. To add to the misery, my best friend since high school, who had been one of my biggest supporters through all of this, was in a terrible car accident. She's been left with severe injuries, and the prognosis is uncertain. I've been spending every day at the hospital, and the stress and sadness are overwhelming. It's like every piece of joy I had from my wedding has been stripped away piece by piece. Then yesterday, I came home to find my cat, who had been my little shadow since before I met my husband, had passed away in her sleep. It feels like the universe is piling on the pain, not giving me a moment to breathe. In the midst of all this, the feud with my mother feels both monumental and yet so trivial. I'm exhausted and all I want is to find some peace. But every time my phone rings, it's another relative with an opinion, another reminder that my family is fractured, possibly beyond repair. I'm at a loss. I never imagined that one moment of lost control, a reaction to a lifetime of hurt, could catalyse such a cascade of heartbreak. I just hope that in time healing will be possible for all of us, but right now that feels like a distant dream. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Grieving is an incredibly complex process, and everyone handles it differently. While laughing at your mother was undeniably hurtful and has evidently caused a significant rift, it's important to recognise that it was a momentary action and not a reflection of your overall character or feelings towards her. Your attempt to reconcile shows maturity and the desire to mend the relationship. It's unfortunate that your mother is currently unable to acknowledge you, which is likely a result of her grief and pain. However, it's imperative to remember that reconciliation is a two-way street, and if she's not ready, it's not solely on you. The fact that your grandmother was distressed by the discord in her final days is heartbreaking, but you cannot be held solely responsible for the family's discord. It's also important to consider the emotional toll that the loss of your grandmother, friend's accident, and the passing of your cat have taken on you. Healing takes time, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Continue to extend olive branches to your mother and give her space to grieve in her own way, while also seeking support for yourself during this challenging time. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Laughter at the expense of someone else's feelings, especially your mother, is a deeply hurtful action. It's clear that this incident has had lasting repercussions within your family, exacerbating the pain during an already difficult time with the death of your grandmother. The fact that your grandmother was upset by the family discord before her passing adds another layer of guilt to the situation. While it's understandable that you're dealing with a lot of pain yourself, including the accident involving your best friend and the loss of your cat, it's crucial to acknowledge the impact your actions have had on your family, particularly your mother. Your intent to reconcile is commendable, but you must also respect your mother's feelings and her process of grieving. Your actions have consequences, and it's important to take accountability for them. To begin the healing process, you may need to give your mother the time she needs and possibly seek the assistance of a neutral third party, like a family counsellor, to help bridge the gap when she's ready. Comment 3. Everyone sucks here. While your behaviour towards your mother was inappropriate and has understandably caused her pain, her refusal to acknowledge your presence at such a significant family event like a funeral is also troubling. It's essential for family members to attempt to support each other in times of grief, and it sounds like both of you are struggling to do so. Additionally, the fact that your aunt chose to reveal your grandmother's distress over the family discord at the wake seems like an ill-timed and potentially inflammatory move, which could serve to deepen divisions rather than promote healing. On the other hand, your mother's hurt is valid and should not be minimized. It's clear that the pain you're experiencing from the accident involving your friend and the loss of your cat is immense, but it shouldn't overshadow the need to address the issues within your family. It's vital to keep trying to reach out to your mother and understand that healing might require patience and potentially professional mediation. Both you and your mother would benefit from finding a path to forgiveness and understanding for the sake of your own well-being and to honour the memory of your grandmother, who seemed to wish for unity within the family. Now for the next story. I will try to keep this short. I am 18 years old, and when I was around 10, my mum cheated on my father and got pregnant. This resulted in my half-sister Kathy. Soon after, my parents cut my grandparents out of our life. My parents stayed together. I turned 18 3 months ago and my grandparents reached out. They informed me over lunch that when Kathy was born, they made it clear that they do not see her as a grandkid, that she's the product of my mum cheating on her son. They refused to make a college fund for her, and my parents cut them out due to it. They informed me that I have a college fund from them, and I decided to take it. I came home and kept it to myself. I've been reconnecting with them, and it came to a head today. My parents learned who I was hanging out with. This resulted in an argument for taking the money when they shunned Kathy. I told them they were right to not consider her a grandkid and to screw them for cutting them out of my life. They haven't talked to me since, and I am doubting myself. Since it was asked multiple times, Kathy's biological dad has partial custody. My dad never adopted her, which according to some Redditors means that the biological dad has to give up his rights. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I understand your parents wanting to protect Kathy from rejection, but they sacrificed your relationship with your grandparents in that process. You got punished because your grandparents wouldn't accept your mother's affair child. Your father made the decision to accept Kathy as his own, but that doesn't mean your grandparents or extended family had to do the same. They made the decision that it was best for Kathy to cut off contact, which meant they took away the relationship and bond you had with your grandparents. This was a situation where they put what they thought was best for Kathy before what was best for you. Now that you are an adult, you get to decide what is best for you. You're allowed to pursue a relationship with your grandparents that is separate from your relationship with your parents. Comment 2. Honestly, this is not an easy answer. Are your grandparents on your mother or father's side? I can understand why they took it so personally if they are your father's parents. It sounds like there are complicated and potentially toxic dynamics in some of the family relationships. I don't think it's wrong to build a relationship with your grandparents just because your mother and an half-sister don't have one, so long as it's not cruel or manipulative in its current state. I'm in a family that has some rifts between members, but no one holds it against anyone else for continuing their own relationships. Those are choices those adult members made for themselves. The kids shouldn't be punished or manipulated into making the same ones. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You didn't ask for your grandparents to be cut out of your life, but you were a kid and didn't have a say in the matter. Now that you're an adult, you do have a say, and it sounds like you're happy to reconnect with them, not just for the money. It's a messy situation in your family for sure, due to the affair resulting in a kid, which again, you had nothing to do with and no say in the situation. I still say take the money for college as you're going to need the financial help in this economy. Now for the update. After my last post, things really hit the fan when my sister Kathy caught wind of the situation with the grandparents. Turns out she saw my parents arguing and overheard everything about the college fund and our grandparents not accepting her. That same day, Kathy confronted me, tears streaming down her face, asking why I didn't consider her a real sister and why I took the money knowing how our grandparents felt about her. It was heart-wrenching, and the guilt was crushing. I tried to explain it wasn't about not seeing her as my sister. It was about not letting my future suffer because of past adult mistakes. But she stormed off, and I could tell she felt betrayed. The next bombshell dropped when Kathy decided to reach out to our grandparents herself. She wrote them a letter. Honestly, I don't know what it said, but it must have struck a nerve, because a few days later I got a call from our grandparents asking to meet up with both Kathy and me. We went, and it was the most awkward and intense meeting ever. Kathy handed them a photo album filled with pictures of her growing up, things they had never seen. She told them how she always felt like a part of her was missing, knowing they were out there, but never wanted her. It was the bravest thing I've ever seen her do. My grandparents, our grandparents, were crying. I'd never seen them cry. In what felt like a scene from a movie, they apologised to Kathy. They said their anger at my mum blinded them to the fact that Kathy was innocent in all this. They told her they wanted to try to be part of her life if she'd let them. And to my shock, they also wanted to extend the college fund to her, acknowledging that if they could support me, they should support her too. But wait, it gets crazier. Our dad, who had been pretty quiet since my last post, decided that he needed to make things legally official with Kathy. He started the process to adopt her formally. He said he should have done it years ago, but let his hurt and pride get in the way. The realization of almost losing his relationship with Kathy spurred him into action. And my parents and we're talking again, but it's a long road ahead. They're not happy about the grandparents' change of heart, meaning they're back in our lives, but they can't ignore how it's positively affected Kathy. There's still tension, and I know it'll take time to mend these bridges, but at least we're all communicating. So yeah, 2 weeks later, and it feels like my whole family dynamic has been turned on its head. It's wild, and I'm still trying to process all of this, but there's this unexpected sense of hope that maybe, just maybe, we're taking steps toward healing as a family. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's clear that you're navigating a complex family dynamic, where emotions and past decisions have created a significant amount of tension. The fact that Kathy felt the need to confront you indicates that there might have been a lack of communication or transparency regarding the family issues and the grandparents' initial refusal to accept her. However, it seems you played no direct role in the grandparents' earlier decision or their change of heart, which absolves you of any potential blame. It's heartening to read that Kathy took the initiative to address the situation herself, demonstrating courage and a desire for resolution. The grandparents' apology and their decision to extend the college fund to Kathy, along with your father's decision to legally adopt her, are positive steps toward healing. This shows that while you may not have been able to influence the situation initially, the family is now moving towards reconciliation, and you can be a supportive figure in this process. Comment 2. No idiots here. From the story presented, it doesn't seem like there is an asshole in this situation, but rather a family grappling with the complexities of acceptance and inclusion. Kathy's feelings of hurt were a natural reaction to discovering that her grandparents had not accepted her. Her approach to handle the matter directly by having a conversation and sharing the photo album was a mature and emotionally intelligent way to bridge the gap between her and her grandparents. It's commendable that Kathy was able to convey her feelings in such a way that it prompted an apology and a change in behavior from the grandparents. Moreover, the father's decision to legally adopt Kathy is a significant gesture that reinforces the notion of family unity and support. The narrator's role appears to be more of a bystander in this situation, and it's encouraging to see that despite the chaotic period, each family member took steps that contribute to a hopeful future with better communication and understanding. Comment 3. Not the idiot. In family disputes, especially ones involving acceptance and financial matters like college funds, it's often easy to inadvertently hurt someone, even without ill intent. However, from your description, it doesn't seem like you have actively contributed to Kathy's exclusion or the initial withholding of the college fund. It's important to recognise that Kathy's proactive approach in reaching out to the grandparents was a key factor in resolving the situation. Her initiative to share her feelings and the photo album possibly helped the grandparents see the impact of their actions and led to their change of heart. Additionally, your father's decision to adopt Kathy legally is an important milestone for the family, signalling a formal recognition of her place in the family, which can greatly contribute to mending past issues. It's not uncommon for families to go through periods of chaos, but the steps being taken by different members of your family suggest a collective effort towards healing. As long as you continue to support these positive developments and contribute to a healthy family environment, you're doing your part in the right direction. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.